Hi, it's Rita keeping it real, and we are doing our scripture reading from the Good News Bible with the Apocrypha. And from time to time, we look at this Apocrypha, the Authorized King James Version, just to do a reference. We are on chapter 12 and First Maccabee, and this First Maccabee has 16 chapters. And what we've learned as we've been reading is about war after war after war that um, that the Maccabee family wins, and with the help of the Most High. And then they usually kill all the people, take all the loot, and keep it moving. They have treaties with different nations. And let's see what happens in chapter 12. So, alliances with Rome and Sparta. When Jonathan's one of the brothers, when Jonathan saw that things were working out to his advantage, he chose ambassadors and sent them to Rome to confirm and renew friendships with the Romans. He also sent letters with a similar message to Sparta and other places. The ambassadors went to Rome, where they were admitted to the Senate chambers, and reported that the high priest, Jonathan, and the Jewish nation, I don't know if they were really called the Jewish nation. 12, is that 12? Forgot what they were really called. 12:3. Maccabees. 12. The people of the Jews. So it's not that. They just. The people of the Jews. And the Jews had sent them to renew the earlier ties of friendship and alliance with Rome. The Romans provided them with letters to the authorities in each country through which they would pass, guaranteeing them safe conduct in their return to the land of Judea. Here is a copy of the letter Jonathan wrote to the Spartans. Jonathan, the high priest, the national council of leaders, the priest, and the rest of the people of Judea, to our brothers in Sparta, greetings. At the earlier time, your king Arius sent a letter to our high priest Onias, stating that our two nations are related, as the attached copy shows. Onias received your ambassador with great honors and acknowledged receipt of your letter, which declared our alliance and friendship. And now, although we are not in need of such alliances, since we find our source of strength in the holy books we possess. The strength is in the holy books. We have written to renew our ties of brotherhood and friendship with you. We do not wish to become total strangers, and it has now been many years since your last communication. Throughout the years, we have taken every opportunity on our festival days and other suitable days to remember you when we have offered our sacrifices and made our prayers, and it is fitting and proper for brothers to do. We also are pleased that fame has come to you, but we have had one series of troubles after another and have had to fight many wars because we have been under constant attack by surrounding nations. During this time of war, we do not wish to trouble you or our other allies and friends, since we do have the help of the Lord. That's so important. That is so important that they really depended on the Most High, who has defeated our enemies and rescued us from them. So we have chosen Nehemenes, the son of Antiochus, together with Altaper, son of Jason, and sent them as ambassadors to Rome to renew our ties and friendship and alliance with the Romans. We have also ordered them to go to you with our greetings and deliver this letter about the renewal of our ties and brotherhood. And now we request an answer to this letter. The following is a copy of the earlier letter. This is the earlier letter in agreement. King Arius of Sparta to Onias the high priest, greetings. We have found a document about the Spartans and the Jews indicating that we are related and that both of our nations are descendants from Abraham. Now that we have discovered this, please send us a report about your situation. In reply, we will send you a letter indicating that we are willing to share our possessions, including cattle and property, if you will do the same. We have given orders to our ambassadors to give you a full report about these matters. Campaigns of Jonathan and Simon. Jonathan learned that the officers of Demetrius had returned to attack him with an even larger army than before. Jonathan did not want to give them an opportunity to penetrate his own territory, so he left Jerusalem and went to meet them in the region of Hamath. Jonathan sent spies to the enemy camp, who reported to him that the enemy forces were making plans to attack the Jews by night. At sunset, Jonathan ordered all his soldiers to be on the alert and to have their weapons ready for the surprise attack anytime during the night. He also stationed guards all around the camp. When the enemy soldiers learned that Jonathan and his men were ready for battle, they were panic-stricken and fled, leaving their campfires burning. Jonathan and his men saw the campfires but did not realize what had happened until the next morning. So wait, when the enemy soldiers learned that Jonathan and his men were ready for battle, they were panic-stricken and fled, leaving their campsites burning. Okay, that's the picture right there of the men. They were panic-stricken and fled, leaving their campsites burning. Jonathan and his men saw the campfires but did not realize what had happened until the next morning. Jonathan then set out after them, but he could not overtake them because they had already crossed the Euphrates River. Then Jonathan turned aside and attacked a tribe of Arabs called Zabadeans. He defeated them and plundered their possessions. Then he broke camp and went to Damascus, inspecting the entire area along the way. I wonder why he did that. Meanwhile, Simon had also set out on a campaign and had advanced as far as Ascalon and the neighboring fortress. Then he turned aside to Joppa and stationed a detachment of soldiers there because he had heard that the people were planning to hand over the fortress of Joppa to the soldiers of Demetrius. When Jonathan returned, he called the council of the leaders together and made plans with them to build fortresses in Judah, to increase the height of the walls of Jerusalem, and to build a high wall to separate the fort from the city. This would isolate the fort, making it impossible for the enemy to buy or sell anything. The people worked together to strengthen the city's defenses because a part of the east wall along the Kidron Valley had collapsed, and the Cappadocia section was in need of repair. Simon also rebuilt the town of Adia in the foothills. He fortified it and constructed barred gates for it. Trypho captures Jonathan. Then Trypho plotted a rebellion against King Antiochus so that he could make himself king of Syria. He was afraid, however, that Jonathan would not agree to this and would go to war against him to prevent it. So Trypho got his army ready and went to Bethshan in the hope of capturing Jonathan and putting him to death. But Jonathan also came to Bethshan with 40,000 well-trained soldiers. When Trypho saw how large an army Jonathan had brought with him, he was afraid to take action. So he received Jonathan with all his honors, presented him to all his advisors, gave him gifts, and ordered his advisors and soldiers to obey Jonathan as they would him. He asked Jonathan, "Why have you put these soldiers to so much trouble when you are not at war? Why don't you send them home? Choose a few men to stay with you and then accompany me to Telemus. I will hand the city over to you, as well as the rest of the fortresses of troops and all the officials. Then I will turn around and leave. In fact, that's why I'm here." Jonathan believed him and followed his advice, sent his soldiers back to Judea. He took 3,000 men with him, but left 2,000 of them in Galilee, while only 1,000 accompanied him for the rest of the way. But when Jonathan entered Ptolemais, the people of the city locked the gates, arrested him, and killed everyone who came with him. What? Trypho sent infantry and cavalry units to Galilee and Jezreel's valley to kill the rest of Jonathan's soldiers. The Jew troops thought that Jonathan had been captured and killed, along with all those who accompanied him, so they encouraged one another and marched out in battle formation. When approaching the enemy forces, they saw that the Jews were ready to fight for their lives. They turned back. Then the soldiers who were Jews, returned to Judea safely, but terribly afraid. The whole nation was in deep mourning, assuming that Jonathan and all of his men had been killed. All the surrounding nations now tried to destroy them. They thought that the Jews had no leader or allies, and that the time was ripe to annihilate them and put an end to their history. Well, we know that didn't happen because their history is not ended. So we're going to call the picture of the 10th. I keep wanting not to finish this. I mean, it's really hard to not just finish the picture, but finish this chapter of Maccabees. Because I want to read other things, but something is making and compelling me to just read this, even though I really don't want to. I don't know why. It kind of is like the same story and over again to me, honestly. But it's a history here. History, like I said, when you look at it, is our people, our ancestor, just rings a little bit differently. Feels different. Feels like you gotta read it. You gotta read it. Good book. Like, who leaves their tent and the fire's burning? Like, why didn't you turn off the fires? That doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but okay. Okay. And another reason I keep reading is because there's a reason why this was taken out of the King James Version. There's a reason these books were taken out. I don't know the reason. I think it's because, you got to do is ask God to help, and He will help His people. Not a whole bunch. Just ask, and God will come to your aid. And if you don't have God on your side, you don't want the people who do have God on their side to know this information. I think we as a people, certainly African Americans in this country of America, we really got a lot of power. We just need to stand up and realize that we do. We've been told that we haven't for so long that we don't think we do, but I think we do. And all we got to do is stand up and realize who we are and the power that we do have. And make all the difference in the world. Like, where are you running to? Where are they running to? They're leaving their little camps, running where? I don't know where they're running to, trying to save their lives, though. I mean, that's the real deal. You got somebody with God's on their side, you're gonna die. They're gonna kill you and take all your stuff. So yeah, you're gonna run. You're gonna run and you're gonna hide. I thought I was gonna kind of try to read all of these chapters, but it's hard. Words you don't know. You try to put yourself into places, war, never been in. So that is First Maccabees, chapter 12, where the people think that Jonathan has died. And obviously you have. So until next time, we're signing off.